Now, Dr. Jayaraman Mahadevan ji is going to talk about the concept of this conference. Dr. Jayaraman Mahadevan is currently serving as director of our Indic Academy's Textual Studies in Yoga wing, a center for textual studies of yoga. He is the research department head director in Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram, Chennai. As people know, among the stalwarts who popularized yoga internationally, Krishnamacharya ji was one of the leading figures. And there is Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram in Chennai. He is the research department head there. And he gives the scientific industrial research organization. He has a PhD in Sanskrit from the Department of Sanskrit, University of Madras. His thesis was titled The Doctrine of Tantra Yukti, a Study. In fact, my excitement to get introduced to Dr. Jayaraman Mahadevan is also because of this Tantra Yukti only. Tantra Yukti, for the benefit of the audience, let me tell you, is the research methodology book composed for Ayurveda. Though it was composed only for Ayurveda, it covers research methodology for any scientific discipline, even contemporary scientific disciplines. It covers both the researching methodology and research draft writing methodology. Interesting. Coinciding with the contemporary books on research methodology, contemporary books on research methodology also cover both the researching methodology and research draft presenting methodology, both. This book also interestingly has the same approach, written hundreds of years ago, centuries ago, for Ayurveda. It covers the same. He has done his PhD on that. And I think after a few years, his name is going to be synonymous with popularizing the ancient Vedic research methodology through the book Tantra Yukti. He has presented 20 papers in various national and international conferences and has given talks in universities, colleges, and institutions of national eminence. He has also written books, organized seminars, funded projects, and been the guide for students pursuing their PhD. His areas of interest are yoga, Tantra Yukti, Vedanta, and he is also a great Sanskrit poet. He keeps on composing Sanskrit poetry wonderfully, every time taking up new meters and new styles of composing Sanskrit shlokas. And he is an expert in manuscript studies also. That is one of the reasons why he has taken a textual study of yoga for Indic Academy. Over to Dr. Jayaraman.
Thank you very much, Nagaraji, for the introduction and also the context setting initial talk, which gave the background for the conference. Your talk covered the very vital, very important aspects of the conference. So I will just briefly present the concept and also the wonderful, give a bird's eye view of what we have in store for the today and the next day of the conference. And as you had rightly mentioned in your introductory talk, that right from the Vedas, we have a lot of reference to the idea of dhyana, focusing the mind, calming the mind. We have even in that introductory detailed note of the conference, inviting papers, we have quoted from the Aitareya Vedic literature. It says, Yasyai devatayai havir grihitam syat tam manasadhyayet vashat karishyan. So before making offering into the Yajna Kunda, into the Agni, so the divinity to which the offering is to be made has to be brought into the mind. So this and many other such references in the Vedic law, repeated references in the Vedic Samhitas themselves. Hrida pashyanti manasa manishinaha And this and many other such references are there to very clearly indicate the Vedic origins of dhyana. Once I had an opportunity to do a paper on the expression manasa, by the mind. So there is this expression manasa, the Tritiya Vibhakti instrumental case, the word manas is used. So by the mind, what did the yogis, what did the people of the Rigveda Samhita do? In the Rigveda Samhita, there are about 104 references to the word manasa, Tritiya Vibhakti Ekavachanam of the word manas. And very interestingly, we see that the paper emerged, which I presented in one of the Vedic conferences organized under the Maharshi Sandipini Veda Vidya Pratisthana. So there we see a lot of meditative activity which were embedded into the practice of yajna. In the practice of yajna, this manasa expression got connected with that. So meditation on the consciousness, meditation on the prana, all those were referred right in the Rigveda Samhita itself. So based on these textual references, we can see that in this way, we can see the very Vedic origins of manas, and from those Vedic very ancient origins till the current day, the normal day-to-day puja at our residences, at every Hindu residence, we see dhyana, dhyayami, asanam samarpayami, padayoho padyam samarpayami. In the Shodashopachara puja, every festival, every puja that we do in day-to-day life, so there also dhyana is there. From the very ancient Vedic yajnas till the normal kalpokta pujas that we do, dhyana is a pervasive concept which is found in every kind of literature that we see in our Vedic Hindu tradition, as indicated by Nagarajji in the introduction itself. So take the Vedas, then the Upanishads, then the Itihasas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and then comes the Purana lore, the Ashtadasha Puranas, the Mahapuranas, the Upapuranas, and then we get the Agamas, the Shaiva, Shakta Agamas, and when we come, and then the yoga literature proper, where we see the Patanjali Yoga Sutras and the Hatha Yoga literature. There again we find Nadanusandhana, Pranalaya Upaya, and then Manolaya Upayas. So, and the entire Hatha Yogic, Raja Yogic literature that we have, and then the Yoga Upanishad literature. There again we have innumerable references to dhyana, and then the Yoga Vedanta combination there are evident in those Yoga Upanishads, and also later we see in Yoga Vasishta. There also, which is a convergence of yoga and Vedanta. There also we see a lot of dhyana related practices discussed elaborately there. And not only in these texts, there are also living traditions of dhyana in every part of the country. In every part of the country, one is Krishnamacharya tradition, then we have the Shivananda tradition, then we have the Kuvalayananda, Swami Kuvalayananda's tradition, and in Haridwar and Rishikesh, so many such centers of living traditions of yoga, living traditions of dhyana in the Hindu culture we see. So in this way, but as indicated by or mentioned, as clearly mentioned by Nagarajji, so we don't associate the adjective Hindu, unfortunately, for various reasons. So to overcome that hesitation, to connect, to rightfully claim that these are Hindu, Vedic, Sanatana practices. So this is one small step in the guidance of Hariji, Sri Hariji, Harikiran Vadlamaniji, our founder, as indicated or as mentioned in the Dhyana session by Akanksha ji, Harir Harati Papani. So the one who removes the sins from the mind, he is a Hari. Means we have, that is, there might have been hesitation or reluctance to connect the term Hindu. So that reluctance that even is a papa. So that papa has to be overcome, and the guiding light in that direction was Hariji. So in that sense, he is Harir Harati Papani. So under his guidance, and also with the inputs and guidance of Nagaraj Paturiji. So we are here now in this conference, as we see that wonderful papers cutting across the entire spectrum of the Hindu, Vedic, Sanatana Dharma literature. We find both we have wonderful invited talks and also paper presentations. We see the talks in four major themes. So the practice dimension of dhyana is covered in these paper presentations, where the pranayama aspect, the Hindu temple worship aspect, the Manasa Puja aspect, and even the Sattvika diet prescription for the conducive practice of dhyana. So all these have been covered under the all papers on these topics you can expect in the practical dimension of dhyana. And of course, the psychological and philosophical dimension of dhyana is also very well covered and represented by various scholars who are going to present papers on the emotional aspect, on the awareness, in the transformation of consciousness aspects, and is dhyana mindfulness, all such, and the concept of pratiprasava, how dhyana leads to it, elaborations and deliberations on these topics under the theme of psychology and philosophy related inputs on dhyana. And then of course a lot of papers on textual inputs on the various practices of dhyana, right from the Upanishads, and then from Mahabharata, from the Vedantic literature, Shaivagama, Ribhu Gita, and such other literature. The dhyana inputs that we have will be discussed by scholars. And very interestingly, so dhyana's internal is not only as a practice which has implications for the within. Dhyana is a practice which has an implication without also, the outside also. It is as it is an absorption within. It can also be through a wonderful aesthetic expression without. So in that dimension, outside also the very meditative expression of art, music, dance, and then architecture itself. So the landscape, the dhyana related landscapes, all these are again covered in the papers by scholars. And of course, these are the topics for the papers. And then invited, very interesting, very insightful, invited talks are also there. Education scenario is there, and how dhyana was integrated, and how it can be now in the context of new education policy, how dhyana dimension can be integrated into the education system. And then the connection between text and practice. So the texts, how they support or how they make the practice more enriching. So the textual traditions, their importance in practice will be highlighted. And then global impact of this Hindu dhyana tradition, how it has been. So an experiential perspective on that will also be presented by scholars. And then teaching experiments and teaching experiences of dhyana for so many decades. So it will be shared by experiential practitioner, teachers. And then of course, as mentioned by Nagaraj, how in the very ancient Shrauta Yajna procedures, dhyana was very much integral part. So in this way, that this conference, though it is with the this is a humble attempt in the direction of bringing out the Hindu contributions in the realm of dhyana. It is rich in content, and it is hoped will enrich the teachers, the practitioners, the professionals in the field of yoga, and in the field of the practitioners of dhyana. So in this inaugural, I would like to conclude my introductory or kind of a note which introduces the concept and also the content as such in the conference, which is upcoming in the next sessions. So